Hey everybody, thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to work on some Sageretia theezans, also called Chinese sweet plum. And they are native to China and Japan. And I've never had them produce fruit, the plums. And I think it's a little tiny drupe. It's not really anything like a regular plum that you eat. But I do understand the part about sweet, because when these guys flower, and they flower in the fall, October, November, and the flowers are very inconspicuous, but they are incredibly fragrant. Really, just a beautiful fragrance. So I have some in the ground, and I'm keeping them a little more in check because I've got the chalkboard behind me. So I'm going to explain how they grow naturally. And I forgot to bring another example, so I have to stop and get something. Okay, I'm back. So they grow with very long canes, and you can see on this one, this growth here that's just shooting way out. And I'm going to take all that off when I work on this tree. But first I'm going to take it out of the way and show you that they not only produce canes, they produce very nasty spines. Very nasty indeed. And they have a habit of growing as a multi-trunk plant. So they grow like this. And they have the little spines. But as they grow, these tips will begin to drop. And wherever it hits the ground, it'll root. And then it'll grow again. And wherever those drop, they will root. And wherever this one drops, they will root and grow again and grow again and grow again and grow again and grow, 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 and they all have spines. And you end up with a gigantic, impenetrable thicket that you can't even... And I let this happen in my yard. It was one of those points where it was like I really wasn't paying much attention to much of anything. And I tell you what, it was crazy. It was just crazy. So I don't recommend that you do this with these guys. Don't let them root like this. And they will just everywhere it hits the ground, they will root. And I still have some in the ground, but I just don't let them get this wild. So it was a pretty interesting phenomenon. No question about that. What's the saying? Live and learn, right? So we're going to get the chalkboard out of the way. So I have 4 of them. I have more, but this is another plant that I don't know why, but I have them like higgledy-piggledy all over the nursery. I don't, it's my backyard, and I don't know why that is either. I've got one over here, and I've got one over there, and I've got another one over there, and it's like I don't, a lot of times I have a lot of my trees at least fairly organized, maybe a little. Anyway, so what's the story with this one? First of all, it's in the top of a cake container. I think it was triple chocolate. Oh my God, that's so good. And Sageretia is another one that absolutely cannot dry out, ever, or else it's dead. Just one time, one dry time, and boom, you don't have a tree anymore. I once had one of these as a bonsai. It's just so beautiful. And I thought I had a picture, but I can't find it, which is typical. And I guess that's what I did. I let it dry out one time. It dried out one time, and poof, gone. I even had people, like from visiting masters and whatnot, and they said, wow, that's a really nice tree. So anyway, live and learn, right? This guy did have a dry spell, and I really believed it was dead. It basically all looked like that. But I guess I probably just didn't want to bother with the thing. See, and this one has spines too, but they're tiny, tiny little guys. And that's because I didn't allow the branch to elongate. The spines I showed you earlier, I went and got from the one section that I still have in the ground. That once again, I do not let it get anywhere near as rampant as what I showed you on the chalkboard. But it's still pretty rampant. And this tree is pretty much a clip and grow kind of bonsai. It's extremely brittle. As soon as it gets to about pencil thickness, trying to bend it is virtually impossible. There's some ability to bend younger, more supple growth, but for the most part, and I don't know why I'm taking that off, because that actually belongs to this and down here, and it is all dead. That's all dead. And then we have a lot of smaller growth that's dead. And right now that's all I'm really doing, is I'm just taking off all the parts that are dead. Then we can kind of see, do we actually have a tree in here somewhere? And these guys are just going to get a preliminary kind of pruning. I'm not going to do any root pruning or turn them into a bonsai pot. I don't think any of them have what it takes to be a bonsai yet. We have a decent root system. Oh, and I will say that I have 3 in training and 1 in a bonsai pot, and all 4 of them came out of the ground. I grew them all in the ground. Now I'm going to take this out of the pot because it's got some... Come on, baby. Oh man, that soil is so wet. So here we have nice motion here, but then the whole rest of the plant goes back. And we have some dead wood there that is just totally rotted away. Oh, and another thing I also forgot is they actually make a fairly decorative exfoliating bark. So right there you can see a little bark exfoliating. I'm going to cut this stump closer. Okay. So really this tree needs to be about like that, which means now the part closest to the soil is now shooting basically straight at us. Maybe I should put it in the frame. That might work. But I don't know. So if we have it like this, and once again, I suppose I could try to bend it, try to do some wire, and I think that would work. And right away we have a couple things that I don't like. This is way too heavy. But I have this little tiny growth right there. So I'm going to cut that off because I don't like how heavy it is. So are we going to be able to pull that off? There we go. Probably. Okay. And then I think I'm going to cut it to here, just temporarily. Probably needs to go even shorter. So let's just pretend it's been wired like that. So now we're just going to move it like that. So then we have, we got something that sort of looks like the beginnings of a bonsai. I want to take this further down. And of course I just cut it to a branch that's coming straight out at us. So that's just going to continue to come straight out at us. So I'm going to have to probably... See, when they're young and supple like this, they're very easy to wire. But once they get about pencil thick, it becomes much more difficult. We have potential back branch. So there we go. There's number 1. Put it back in the chocolate cake container. So, who should I show you next? How about this one? This is an interesting tree. It has a lot of wild, rangy growth that can just come off right away, because it's certainly not going to be part of the design. So this tree has some exfoliating bark here too. You can sort of see it right there. It's kind of exfoliating, and then it's a lot like a crepe myrtle, or I think guavas do that too. There are a number of different trees that make exfoliating bark. But it also has some dead. See, here's some more exfoliating bark. That's coming off quite a bit. And that can make it very decorative. Okay. So then I've decided, let's take it out of the pot too. I've decided that I want that dead to be part of the front. So I've got a lot of weird little incidental cut back stuff like this guy right here. We don't need. And you know, this is very low, and we've got this, see where it's suckering from the base. And that's also very low. This back part is also, oh, it's coming off of that branch. Isn't that interesting? This branch here is holding this growth. It's not coming off the trunk. So I'm going to take that away. And I may just do away with that whole thing. There we go. And this one's the same way. It's just too low. So we've got some decent movement. That looks dead. So we won't be using it. And when we get up into here, you know, where's our apex? Somewhere in there. Somewhere in there. This guy here is okay as an apex, but it's very thick compared to this part. So I'm going to take it off too, because I think we're going to get better taper from some of the top stuff. There. You know, maybe somewhere like that. And then, since we're chopping it to almost nothing, we may as well chop it to almost nothing. There we go. That makes it simple. Just whack the living out of it. And there you go. You don't have to worry about whether you styled it or not. You just... I'm sorry. So there still is a tree in there. I swear there is. And now the third one, should I show you the third one? Or should I make it the fourth one? I guess I'll show you it here. This is a bonsai. Well, it's masquerading as a bonsai. You see this trunk all dead. This thing here has died back like 4 or 5 times. So all this in here has all died back. That was used to be something all died back. There was a huge trunk chop here. I wired it once, it all died back. You cut it back, it all died back. It just dies back, dies back, dies back, dies back. The fact that it's alive at all just amazes me. So I just said you cut it way back and it dies back. So what am I doing? I'm cutting it way back. Maybe you get the idea that Sageretia is not my favorite material. And not that it makes nice bonsai. If you look online and you do a search, there's some real pretty trees out there. They're just not in my collection. And it's possible, once again, that I'm just too far south. And look at that thing. It just has no, it's like, what am I even doing with this thing? But I keep it alive because it is alive, so I keep it. Who knows, maybe one day it'll look like something. Will I be alive to see it? That's a good question. And then the fourth one is one that was escaped out of the pot. And the pot is ancient. The pot is on its way out. And I just yanked this up out of the ground. I didn't even dig it. So this tree is not going to be happy. Where are my concave cutters? And this tree is pretty much an example of just how crazy they get. Actually, the reason that it fell over was there was a piece that was attached to the camera. So as I moved the camera, the whole thing came with. So there you go. What was I talking about? Training bonsai as dogs? Stay. Sit. Do not move. So how about if we just do something like that? And that'll probably make it a whole lot easier. And like I said, impenetrable thickets. I can't even get this branch out of there without cutting other branches, because they just grab onto each other with the spines. I really wanted the concave cutters to cut the roots out of here. Alright, there we go. And then is there a tree in here? So first of all, you can see suckering from the base, we have this guy, which is, let me get rid of some of this. We have this guy here that is just coming, it's what you would call a water shoot, just shooting straight up. And before I cut it off, it was like 3 feet high. So it comes off. Maybe do it in a couple stages. There we go. And then we have another water shoot right here, which is all this stuff, all of this stuff. And would it make a twin trunk? I don't think so. I don't know. Let's just take that off too. There we go. And we have some decent movement if we use this as the front, or this is the front, but boy, there sure is a lot of crud coming at you if this is the front. So probably better to make this the front. And then I don't like the lack of taper. In here, there's just no taper, all the way up. It has some movement, but it's pretty stovepipe. Even the whole tree is pretty stovepipe. So I think I'm going to take it to somewhere in here instead. And in fact, I may go to right here. We can start there, see if I like it. Because I was leaning towards taking it to this one. Now we have another water shoot that has, you see how nice and green it is versus the older brown growth. And I'm going to take that off too. And then shorten all this stuff. So do I do it like that and make this the new leader? And this would be the first main branch. It'll be a, I may save that as a sacrifice branch. Some of these other sacrifice branches or potential sacrifice branches were just too low. Because remember, a sacrifice branch only thickens the trunk from where it emerges, from the trunk down. It won't thicken the trunk up here if I leave this. It just won't. So then I have to decide if I want it like that, or take this guy off and leave this. I don't know how to do that. Actually, I washed off my chalkboard with a piece of paper towel. So maybe we can do, hide it like that. So, the decision-making process is, this guy's got so much more branching. And once again, it's shooting from the back. So I have to bring the apex back forward at some point. But this produces way more taper. So there's the paradox. Taper or branching. And I think I'm going to have mercy on this tree and just leave it like it is. Let it sprout out, and I'll make my decision a little bit later. So there you go, Sageretia. I also have numerous smaller ones in the ground that I have never let get crazed the way I did before, that I plan on digging up very soon, because this is the time of year to do it. So there we go. I could maybe like repot it more like that, and then even like take it to there. So this tree still has some potential to be okay. And this is pretty much how I do it with Sageretias, just chop them back to nothing, because I know how rampant they are. And if I do nothing with this thing in 6 months, it'll have growth like this. Again, just whoosh, because that's just the way they grow. Once you've got a finished tree, which unfortunately I do not have a finished tree. The closest thing to a finished tree is this sorry excuse for a finished tree. Then they take a lot of pinching, a lot of maintenance, a lot of work. It's worth it because the tree I did have was just so beautiful. And I lament letting it die, because once again, it didn't just die. I killed it by forgetting to water just one time. And I have a couple little mames that went through that same process, but because they're Premna, they did not die. But boy, and I'm out here all the time, but sometimes the things just escape your attention. And I saw these guys and it was like, oh my God, and they have just gotten so dry. They are both beginning to recover, and I want to feature those guys in a video coming up. So there we go. Can I get them all in the shot? Now we got this one with the dead, and then we got this one that dried out profoundly, which I thought for sure was dead. And then we have the sorry excuse for a bonsai tree. So there you go, Sageretia. If you're going to plant them in the ground and you live in a tropical place where they will survive, don't let them root. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I'm trying to feature everything that I have, even if they're not perfect. So this is probably one of those videos that falls into that category. I love them, but they're touchy little trees. So I don't know what else to say. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Anybody else have any Sageretia? Because I don't really see them. You know, I've subscribed to numerous different bonsai YouTubers, and I don't see one single Sageretia in anybody's collection. So that tells you something. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.